The judge at the Clay Shaw trial in New Orleans today turned down a motion for a directed verdict of acquittal sought by Shaw's lawyers, who said the state had not linked the defendant with any plot to kill President Kennedy. The defense then called its first witness, the remarried widow of Lee Harvey Oswald. Ed Rabel reports.
Marina Oswald Porter was with her husband when she appeared to testify for the defense. She had nothing to say to reporters about Lee Oswald's role in the alleged conspiracy.
Can you tell us what the appearance is all about this morning in court?
Do
you have any comment after it's all over with?
On the stand, however, she described Lee Oswald as a loner who always stayed at home at night when they lived in New Orleans and who was neat and cleanly shaven when he did go out. Her statements contradicted earlier prosecution testimony, which portrayed Oswald as a bearded beatnik who shared a New Orleans apartment with an eccentric homosexual, David Ferry, a member of the alleged conspiracy. Marina Oswald told the court neither she nor Lee ever knew the late David Ferry, nor did Oswald ever mention the name of the defendant, Clay Shaw. She said Oswald liked to sit in the dark on the front porch of their apartment with his rifle. On cross-examination, she said she could not account for Oswald's activities during the day when he was supposed to be working for a New Orleans coffee company. The most money he ever gave her at one time, she said, was $1, and she declared he once forced her to sign some papers for him using the alias Heidel. In this afternoon session, Lloyd Cobb, president of the New Orleans Trade Mart, where Shaw was the general manager until 1965, said Shaw always dressed conservatively in a business suit. Cobb's testimony was designed to contradict star prosecution witness Perry Russo's statement that he saw Shaw wearing a loud sport jacket and tight-fitting trousers during a Kennedy appearance in New Orleans. Shaw's secretary, Miss Goldie Moore, testified that during the summer and fall of 1963, before President Kennedy was killed, Shaw was extremely busy with Trade Mart affairs. Like Trade Mart President Cobb, Miss Moore said Shaw made a trip to Portland, Oregon around the time the president was killed to promote a Trade Mart there. The prosecution contended that Shaw set up the trip to the West Coast as part of an alibi. And the man they call the Jolly Green Giant, District Attorney Jim Garrison, who has touted his case in the nation's media for 2 years, was nowhere near the courtroom when Marina Oswald was testifying. He was attending a civic meeting in New Orleans where he had nothing to say about the case. Ed Rabel, CBS News, New Orleans.
In Los Angeles today, the prosecution at the Sirhan Sirhan trial called more witnesses in an effort to show that the defendant planned the assassination of Senator Robert Kennedy. Bill Stout reports.
For the second time this week, the start of the trial was delayed when the judge called the lawyers on both sides into his chambers. One defense attorney said it was a discussion of the mechanics of the trial, how many more witnesses, that sort of thing. But there's courthouse speculation that the hard business of the meeting had to do with Sirhan's notebooks, in one of which he wrote about killing Senator Kennedy. The notes were taken from Sirhan's home by the police, and the defense says that was illegal. The jurors heard 2 more witnesses who were wounded in the same burst of gunfire that killed the senator. Defense lawyers said they have told Sirhan to stop smiling so much, and at one point this morning, he was yawning. But he listened carefully when a Pasadena trash collector, Alvin Clark, told of picking up refuse at the Sirhan home for 3 years and talking with Sirhan. After the killing of Martin Luther King, said Clark, he told Sirhan he was going to vote for Kennedy, and Sirhan said, "What do you want to vote for that son of a bee for? Because I'm planning on shooting him."
I never knew him as Sirhan. I knew him as Saul. That's the way he introduced himself to me.
Mr. Clark, do you think the jury is going to believe you when you say that you heard Sirhan say he was going to shoot Robert Kennedy?
Well, what else could they believe? I don't have anything against
Sirhan?
Other than this. Like before this happened, Sirhan, was a friend of mine before the assassination of King.
You hate him only after the assassination, is that it?
Yeah, well, this is only evident.
Under questioning by the defense, Clark admitted saying months ago he hated Sirhan so he'd do anything to get him convicted. Again this weekend, the jurors will be locked up in a downtown hotel, sequestered, as the lawyers say, but with the court's permission to be visited by their wives or husbands. And next week, the trial continues. Not because there is any question about the shooting, but because the authorities are trying to build a record, doing all they can to prevent a repeat of the criticism of the Warren Commission's inquiry into the killing of the senator's brother. Bill Stout, CBS News, Los Angeles.
A Florida judge ruled today that too many people would suffer if convicted killer Wardell Williams were imprisoned full time. So he sentenced the defendant to serve 2 months a year over the next 20 years. Williams, who pleaded guilty to manslaughter in the shooting of his common-law wife, has 100 farm workers on his payroll. His lawyer says that for 8 years, Williams has kept them fed, clothed, and working, and that he's more valuable to society outside prison than in. The judge agreed, saying that with present parole laws, the 32-year-old Williams probably will end up serving more time this way than if he were given a straight 20-year sentence. Williams is to report to jail each year for the months of July and August when few crops are harvested. A federal jury in Pensacola, Florida, has ordered Dun & Bradstreet, the well-known credit rating bureau, to pay $70,000 damages to a druggist who claimed he was libeled by a credit report presenting him as a deadbeat and fraud. The druggist, Joseph Morgan of Fort Walton Beach, Florida, said the report caused him to lose his business. In his complaint, Morgan said the unfavorable report had mistakenly identified him as the partner of another man with the same name. President Nixon today, by letter, assured AFL-CIO executives meeting in Florida that his administration will seek ways to halt inflation without increasing unemployment. AFL-CIO President Meany called the statement very important, since some administration officials have said it might be necessary to accept some increase in unemployment in order to cool off the economy.